Let's talk about the Together Alliance's next march against the far right. It's happening on Sunday in London. We've spoken about the Together Alliance before, a bit of a ragtag coalition of various, trade union groups, anti-racist groups. Lots of celebrities endorse it. Some of our favourites, like Paloma Faith and Kneecap,
Yeah.
and
Some of the
Na-
great thinkers of our time. Yeah.
Napalm Death
Mm.
signed the uh,
Those famous peace sticks. Yes.
Corner Shop. Do you remember them from that Brimful of Ashes song from years ago? Esther, as ever, they don't say this explicitly, but you know what they really mean when they say far right. They don't mean the men setting fire to Jewish ambulances and attacking synagogues. They, of course, mean the real far right, right? AKA Reform UK, the most popular party in the country. I mean, what's your take on this? I mean, these things are just so predictable. Seems like they're again just picking the wrong target.
I mean, I've seen the lineup, and I can only describe them as sort of like the Brady Bunch from Transylvania, just this kind of weird mix of eclectic individuals who many of them could do with a good shower. Anyway, but look, I think like much of the actual far right, these group of, I would say probably far left, because I of all the leftists I've met, I don't really kind of categorize these people with them, because I think a lot of leftists actually think about their ideas and then they can articulate them in a coherent way. I think they actually put a lot of thought into their own personal and political philosophies, as opposed to celebrities that are quite reactionary. And I've never, the test of a celebrity that has actually thought about or their political views is when they're willing to say something that could actually risk their reputation within the narrow field that they work in. All of these celebrities say, I'm not afraid to speak on this. Yeah, you're probably going to get like some business from that, actually, because you are in a milieu of people who all think the same. But anyway, that being said, I would advise these people to get out more, to probably take a holiday to Ibiza. Many of them can afford it, because what they have fallen prey to is the illness that many on the far right have fallen prey to as well, which is too much time on the internet. Because these people happen to think that what they see on Twitter, which I think is a cesspit. I don't really enjoy Twitter. I don't know what's happened since Elon Musk took over, but all I get are like a bunch of like Asian porn girls trying to sell me pictures of their boobs. And I'm like, sis, I could just look down if I want to see a picture of some breasts. But anyway, I don't think being online for extended periods of time allows you to get a real cross-section of what society is actually like. And I think what's happened is these people have kind of imbibed a lot of the hype that they see on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok especially, and think that the country is in a state where we're about to basically elect a bunch of Oswald Mosleys. There are real problems in this country, and there have been many attempts by people across the political spectrum to actually highlight the things that are bothering people and the reasons for them. I went to Sunderland, I went to Newcastle, I went to Peterborough, I went to Boston, I went to, all sorts of parts of the country. And I didn't really see people that have concerns or might even be friendly towards reform as, oh, these are horrible right-wing people that are trying to kill all the blacks and the gays or whatever. They just have concerns about this country and have come to different conclusions about how to rescue it. I mean, I saw like old grannies from Liverpool in their 70s and 80s talking about voting reform, because for them, immigration is a very big issue. Now, if you ask me critically what my view is about whether reform or whatever, what's the best political vehicle to solve these problems, I think it's a bit more nuanced. But these people have whipped themselves into a frenzy and are now going onto the streets to disturb our peace, because they are expressing something that they have taken in from a narrow bubble, amongst a narrow group of people, and from a narrow bubble online. And I don't think that's healthy. I don't think that's healthy on the left, and I don't think that's healthy on the right. I think in everything, you should stress test your own ideas. I mean, you should have your own convictions and beliefs, but also stress test them. Speak to people from all walks of life, and kind of try and understand why people are saying the things that they are. I mean, when people say like, oh, the NHS is stressed because there are too many people, well, they're not saying that immigrants go to hell. It's just a basic of supply and demand, right? If you have too much demand for not enough supply, you're going to have to ration things, and things are going to get a poorer quality for the native population. It's just a fact. But these are people that I think, as far as I'm concerned, have never really demonstrated any degree of critical thinking. Certainly not Paloma Faith, who also happens to have a mansion in California, so I'm sure that helps. So yeah, I think these people need to get out more.
Yeah, and also, I mean, Tom, it's fascinating that in the sort of mindset of many of the people who would be on the march, wanting some sort of immigration control is far right, voting reform is far right, but saying up Hamas, up Hezbollah, essentially, giving succor to anti-Semitic terrorist organizations, that's fine. You can be on this anti-racist march.
No, exactly. And of course, you're referring to NECAT there, who were obviously signatories to this original statement they put out. Also, I'm sure will be involved in some way, shape, or form if they're back from Cuba in time on this demonstration over the weekend. This is the thing. I mean, you feel like you're repeating yourself all of the time. But if Nigel Farage or anyone in and around Reform had ever done anything close to appearing on stage as NECAT did, waving the flags and shouting the slogans of anti-Semitic terror armies, if you could even think of what the kind of parallel would possibly be on the Reform side of the equation, they rightly would be hauled over the coals for it and rightly would be nowhere electorally. And I think that's what's so fascinating about how explicit all of this is now. I mean, in that statement this group first came out with, they said for the first time in British history, a far-right party is topping the polls, by which they mean Reform. They didn't name them explicitly, possibly because they had a lawyer go over it first. But this is also part of a development we've touched on already, but has become very clear over the past decade, which is that supposed anti-racism and anti-fascism is basically now just a cover for kind of anti-majoritarianism, for anti-democracy. The supposed cordon sanitaire these people want to erect around certain parties which are supposedly beyond the pale are not fascist or far-right ones, or they're the ones that reflect essentially the majority view of the nation.
Yeah.
This has just become a kind of a garb in which elitists and snobs and anti-democrats and a lot of kind of crankier elements, even to the left of that, are dressing up their hatred of ordinary people. The fact that this is so gleefully done, the fact that some of the worst periods in history are kind of evoked in order to justify this campaign makes it even more sickening. I mean, if you're throwing around, just because we've got used to people calling everyone to the right of Keir Starmer a fascist or far right, doesn't make it any more despicable, not only to the millions of voters who simply want essentially a kind of immigration settlement that we had pre-1997, but also to historical memory, to the victims of fascism. The fact that this just has become these words and these labels have just become a sort of plaything of cultural elites throwing a tantrum. It's become the stuff of life, but that doesn't make it any less despicable, I should say.